Car's underway. Stamps his authority once again.
My word, this could go wrong.
On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch.
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another round of your APC season. It's round number 9 here today at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're well into the second half of the campaign now. 14 rounds to go, or 14 rounds in general in the season. We've got 6 rounds to go. We've got Azerbaijan, the host for today's race, and of course it's myself, Joseph Black. Alongside me once again is Kyle SW. Now Kyle, of course, Azerbaijan, a different challenge to what we've had throughout the course of the season. I believe it's our first street circuit since Saudi Arabia really in February, and it provides some unique challenges.
It does indeed. Thanks very much, Joseph. Welcome everyone to the stream. Welcome back to race number 9, as Joseph mentioned. Yeah, it's one of those tracks, isn't it? It's extremely hard to get right. All the drivers are already predicting crashes for themselves, so that bodes well for this race. Although they're all predicting it in quali, where obviously they push a bit harder than in the race. People can be a lot more conservative, a lot more chilled, just to get to the end. But yeah, they're all predicting crashes during quali, so I'm yet to see how that happens. I mean, I think it was turn 3 predicted for Luca Serafini and actually Ollie Matthews. I predicted castle section for Owen Baldero, whether that's fair or not. And I have a feeling, I don't know why, I have a feeling that Connor Stewart was going to go wide into turn 1, and we haven't pre-planned that. We're not betting on Sports Direct or something. Sorry, it's not a betting site, ignore me. But you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. Big challenges. It's a track that I tend to go pretty well at, but I have crashed many times in the past. So I don't think I've ever watched a league race in any league where all drivers have finished. So we will see if at the end of this race, all 13 drivers who are here finish in one piece.
Certainly will, and I should sound a little bit better now because I realised that the mic still had the wrong input. It's on my backup mic, but now it should be on the actual mic itself. And without further ado, we're going to be able to take you down to said qualifying session where all the drivers have said that they're going to retire from. That bodes well, but we do have racing action on our screens, and we do have, well, we've got a corner, but Daniel Riley eventually does come on our screens, and he's heading around the final corner to what will be start his lap. So we're going to ride on board then with Daniel Riley as he heads around to start what will be his first qualifying lap of this session. So far this season for Daniel Riley, it's been a mixture, but I'd say he's probably going to be pretty disappointed and hoping that his Azerbaijan Grand Prix is going to bode a little bit better for him as he heads down towards the first corner. Now, you've got to avoid braking too heavy here because you don't want to lock up and go straight on, but Dan Riley absolutely fine, using as much of the curbing on the inside of the corner as you can just to rotate yourself. Then the same out of turn number 2 and down towards the first. Full DRS straight on the lap as you head through the first sector. Then this will be the prime overtaking opportunity if you've set yourself up out of turn number 1 as well as you possibly can into the braking zone of turn number 3, down towards turn 4 then, and this will start the tricky section in the middle as it looks like. We've either got a car spinning or moving out of the way. That'll be one of the Ferraris. That'll be Andrei Chenkovan as Dan Riley heads through the first sector. 34.9 is what he's set in said first sector, and now he heads out towards the second sector and the most difficult part of the lap, and that will be the castle section, which Dan Riley is about to navigate. So it's the hard right-hander there. Some drivers might go for overtakes. They'd be silly to do so, but they still might do so. And Dan Riley throwing the car through the castle section already early on in this session, not holding back. But you can't really afford to hold back there. So he's absolutely fine to continue onwards. Dan Riley then into the final sector and into the final segment where he can set times. That's where I've invalidated and retired a lot of the times in Azerbaijan, at that penultimate braking zone. Then the final braking zone as well, another overtaking spot that would be a risk, but I'm sure we'll be seeing drivers going through there tonight. Before we head down to the final few corners, they are flat out, and you've just got to avoid the wall that he's just made his way past, the American Express area, and you can see why they've sponsored that segment. Dan Riley will be coming up to the line and finishing his first lap time and everybody's first lap time of the session, and he will get a 1 minute 39.284 to kick off proceedings for today.
Yeah, nice clean tidy lap for Dan Riley there, and the less said about Dan Riley trying to overtake in the castle section, the better, I think. But yeah, good lap. It was pretty chill, pretty laid back. He didn't do anything too crazy. I think he's got more time, and there is a retirement there then for Aaron Petho, the driver who missed last week out, and it looks like he's missed the corner this week. So As we're going through this section, can we see his car? Looks like it's already been cleared up. So that is an unfortunate end for Aaron Peffer, as we say. Wasn't able to drive last week, has returned this week in the Williams, but wasn't able to set a time. So hopefully he will be able to fight his way back through the pack as we get into the race. But it's not the easiest track to overtake at. So it's going to be a big ask for him to do that. So we'll have to wait and see as we get into the lobby. Speaking of drivers who aren't able to race, only one missing this time out. That, of course, being Alexandra Vickel. I forgot SG if he gave a reason. I will check that in a bit and get back to you on that one. But yeah, yes, he's not driving this week. The only driver to miss this fun track. A lot of people hoped for rain. I so wanted to make rain happen just to see what the drivers would do in a wet Baku. But of course, as we can't really do that, as it seems to be. It would look like we're giving preferential treatment to some drivers over others, so we don't do that here in APC. We're very fair to everyone. As Brian Moore comes across the line, slowest at the moment for 1:41.3, but only a tenth behind Ollie Corlett. I have to correct myself. I don't know if you did the same, Joseph, but I was told that I was calling him Ollie Corbett last time out, which. Yeah, it's not. It's Ollie Corlett. So I will try and remember that through this session. We're known for getting names wrong sometimes. I'm sure we'll be forgiven. He wasn't too angry about it. So we all live and we all move on. But as we keep going through this session, outlaps for Paul Garang, Ethan Shackleton, Bert Welly, Andrea Chenkovan, and Regan is yet to come out on the track.
Yeah, and Aaron's saying that he lags out on the outlap. But of course, we can take the driver's word with a pinch of salt. But what we do know is the standings as it stands. Well, it will be Andrea Chenkovan at the very top of the field, as we'd expect. 172 points for himself. And, it'll be Ollie Matthews in second place with 120 points. He finds himself in second place. So he will be the biggest challenger, or he'll be hoping to be the biggest challenger to Andrea Chenkovan at the very top of the field. Owen Boldero finds himself in third place, and with a little bit of work to do to catch up to his teammate, but the two Aston Martins looking to challenge as much as they possibly can for that spot at the very top of the field in terms of the constructors, which we'll get onto in a moment's time, as you might be able to see me trying to rearrange my desktop in the meantime. Bert Welly finds himself in fourth place, 75 points, jumping Lucas Aracini by one, and he'll be very happy with that one indeed, and hoping that he'll be able to back it up today and continue the fight with his teammate, because of course there's a couple of inter-team battles going on throughout the course of this season, which is always really nice to see indeed. We have in sixth place Alexis Mason, who is of course not racing tonight. She'll be disappointed to not race, but of course Alexis had a couple of moments when fighting for the race victory last time out, so a couple of the drivers will be happy to see her unfortunately missing out here today, and hoping that they're going to get some fights on with other drivers, of course, because she is fantastically fast, and she'll be replaced by Andrea Chenkovan in this fight. Ethan Shackleton in 7th place, just 2 points behind Alexis Mason. Regan Harding in 8th, Matthew Gatch is in 9th, and Harrison Robinson and Connor Stewart-Woodard joint rounding out the top 10. Aaron Paddock in 11th alongside or 12th even, alongside Leandro Ratto, joint on points in 12th and 13th. And then Brian Moore in 14th, 15th place for Dan Riley, 16th for Alexandra Vickel and Paul Garang, and then Aria Stone and Ollie Corlett rounding out the order there. And then if you have a look at the constructor standings, that is going to look very, very healthy as well for Ferrari, who find themselves at the top of the field, with 262 points. 209 for Aston Martin in second place. Racing Bulls chasing down with 167. Williams over 100 points off the back, and then Mercedes and Kick Sauber gaining places off of Haas and McLaren, with of course Red Bull and Alpine yet to score this season. But that's the way that the standings are looking at the moment, and it's looking good for Aston Martin. They need to back up their performances over the last few weeks, as at the moment Andrea Chenkovan is without a time.
Yeah, so I wasn't on board with him, but he went straight back into the pit lane after his outlap. He didn't finish his laps, whether that was an invalidation. In fact, I do have that information. I don't see an invalidation, so it was clearly just a lap that he didn't feel was quite good enough, and he'd rather save the time, go in and have an extra lap on some fresh tyres. I think now he'd probably get a chance at doing 2 laps one lap, an outlap. an out lap, a full lap, an in lap, an out lap, and another lap. So he'll have a chance now. If he finished that lap and then had to do another in lap, he probably wouldn't have got 2 more runs in. So on board here with Regan, and what a fantastic livery there. I don't think I've seen that yet. That's a beautiful livery on the Williams there. So Regan and Andrew Chenkovan are the 2 cars still here, yet to set a time. Of course, Aaron Peffer will not be able to set a time now and will start in 13th position as long as there are no crashes for Regan or Chenky. I've probably cursed them now, but Regan is going through the final sector now. So if he manages to crash as he scrapes the wall there, if he manages to crash completely taking himself out, then I mean that's a skill issue. There's not really. It's quite difficult to crash at this stage in the lap. I probably spoke slightly too soon, but it's going to be there a 1:40.111 for Regan, just ahead marginally of the Ferrari of Ethan Shackleton. As you say, the Aston Martins need to really back up their performances, get some good results to really challenge Ferrari for the team's championship. Like it's a slow Mercedes there. I believe it's just Riley getting out there. No, it's actually Paul Garung who's probably just out of fuel, which I believe it is. So yeah, we saw last week Owen Boldero got pole position in the race. What a fantastic race we had in Monza, actually. That was a great one. And then he fell back through the order, but his teammate Ollie Matthews came from a little further behind to fight for the win over the last couple of laps, and how he really wanted that. So we've seen good results from the Aston Martins, but we've seen even better results from the Ferraris.
Yeah, and speaking to us before the race, Owen Boldero said that he felt mixed about the last race. He felt as though driving-wise it was one of his worst of the season. But of course, because he dropped down through the order. But qualifying was really good, but the race just unravelled for him. The next race, he's feeling not very good about it, and, we will see what he is going to be capable of. He has no expectations for this race, apart from the fact that one person will crash, and he's put the money on himself, hypothetically, to be the one to crash out of this session. We are watching Andrea Chenkovan at the moment, coming around the final few corners. That'll be the Williams out of the way of Regan Harding, and just moving out of the way to allow for the opportunity for Chenkovan to come through and finish the lap and maybe take it off of Paul Garung at the very top of the field. Of course, more drivers out on laps at the moment. Owen Boldero, Dan Riley, Ollie Matthews, all ready to go, and 1:38 it appears to be the target lap time that Paul Garung has set. What can Chenkovan do? He said his personal best was in the 38s, and he's got a 38.8, so he's going to go ahead of Paul Garung by exactly 700ths even of a second. So scary times at the top. Dan Riley not going to improve, nor is Owen Boldero, and Ollie Matthews, is he going to be improving this time? We'll see what he's doing as he heads up to the end of the final sector, and then we'll see whether he is in fact improving. And it appears to be that he is on his in-lap, as he won't be improving. So that will be actually, in fact, Lucas Eracine, who's found 7/10 of a second. He could be the biggest challenger to Andrea Chenkovan here today. He's feeling horrible about the previous race that he did, of course, in Zandvoort. And, he would like me to shout out the rhyme that he did. He said, "I'm so bad in the rain, it's insane." He had a nice break. She's come back with P3. Nothing less will suffice if he can keep it out of that. But he is very worried about that castle section. Front row of the grid, though, is a very, very good start indeed. We'll get there when we get there. The last interview that we had is with Bert Welly, who said he was feeling very good about the last race. He was able to fight at the top of the field and get a podium. He hasn't had the opportunity to practice. He's going to try and get a top 5, and he is looking forward to potential rain, which it doesn't look like we'll be getting the opportunity to see today. Everybody on in-laps, I believe, apart from Ollie Corlett, and we can't quite see what it is going to come to the end of this first sector just yet, and then we will get the opportunity to see if he is in fact pushing on this lap. And in fact, it appears that he is 0.041 seconds down.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's just me who can't really hear you, or if it's the stream as well. So I will have a look at that. But yeah, as we were saying, I didn't really hear what you said. But you say Ollie Corlett is on a lap. He's currently in the second set. I think I heard you mention that. But yes, is he setting a time? I believe he currently is. But I look at my data there, it's not updating, so I cannot tell you. But we'll keep on board with this lap. In fact, I'm not actually in control, so we'll keep on board whether I like it or not. and see if this lap gets finished. As he approaches the end of the Sector 2, as he hits the Sector 2 split, he is half a second up, so he is definitely pushing on this lap, and this will put him somewhere in the realms of the Kicksauber. Of course, Ollie called it. Oh, God, did it again. Just quickly to mention, he has moved to Haas. He joined last week, went into McLaren. Matthew Gatchis has unfortunately moved away from the Haas and has moved to a reserve role. So Ollie Call It wanted the chance to have a teammate and battle for some good positions in the team's championship. And with a 140.716, he looks like he should be able to battle with the Kicksaubers, although he does hit the turn 1 inside wall there. So whether that's something he can avoid doing on an actual time lap, that would be ideal for him as Regan comes out on an out lap. So yeah, it'd be great to see what he can do in the Haas. Him and Alexandru Vico, of course, his teammate, not being here this week, so they're not getting to enjoy their first week together as teammates. But with 5 races left to go after this one, there'll be plenty more opportunity for them to fight for some good championship points. And I believe they're fighting with the Kicksaubers, so they'll want to have a good go at beating them as we reach the end of the season in Abu Dhabi in about 5 weeks' time.
See, I've used this mic multiple times now. I used it on an 8-hour broadcast in Cumbria. I've used it in various different leagues that I've done. It has not had problems. APC? It hasn't had problems outside of APC. So I'm starting to think it's a curse. If it has problems one more time, I'll just switch over to the other mic. That's why I still leave it plugged in just in case. But apologies. If I suddenly became very quiet, because it did decide to turn itself down. And, well, we'll see why that is. We'll try and diagnose it, and we'll try and see to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I thought it was the connection. It may well still be, but I did use a new cable for it, so it shouldn't be having too many problems. Regan Harding in the first sector at the moment, he's going to have a lot of traffic to contend with, as we've got the majority of the drivers on their outlaps. 1 minute 51 left in the session, and well, we're going to have to wait and see who's going to be able to take that pole position away. They'll all be fighting at this point in the season for all the positions, chopping and changing. And, well, at the moment, it looks like Chenkovan versus Seracini for pole position. But someone like Goldero, they're both very close. I've just seen it turn down. And so I switch over right now.
Indeed, yes. I wasn't sure if I was waiting for the right time to tell you, but as we stay on board with Regan Harding here, he will be the next person to lap. He is catching Aston Martin, though, in the second sector here, which is not going to be ideal, but hopefully the Aston Martin, I believe, of Ollie Matthews will get out of the way. And he has done, so that's nice and clean for Regan as he then passes one of the Mercedes drivers as well. That is Paul Garung, and he will hope to continue on through this lap as we go into the final sector. So, around the left-hander here. Very easy to put it in the wall there, but Regan manages to avoid it. He's going to get the second sector split, and he will be 3 attempts up. So, this is going to be a good lap. That will put him in the realms of, put him around Owen Boldero. So that will be a great showing from Regan. He's not going to hit the wall this time. He's going to get a slipstream from one of the RBs here. I'm not sure which one it is, but this is going to be fantastic for Regan. What is he going to do? Is he going to get ahead of Owen Boldero here? Maybe ahead of Paul Garung, and it's going to be what happened? Did I 6 attempts up? Did I just completely see the wrong time there? I'm probably just not looking right. This is why I'm in co-coms. But yeah, not an ideal ending for Regan. What did I miss there, Joseph?
Well, I mean, Regan Harding not too far off of the pole position time in the end. As I've just accidentally muted myself. There we go, we're back as I'm trying to sort out the wiring. But that doesn't matter, the checkered flag is waved. Ollie Corlett not going to be making it to the line and won't be starting on his final laps. We'll have a look at all the other drivers ready to go for it. And it looks as though the first one to get to the line will be Dan Riley. He's 0.024 up. Keep an eye on the Mercedes. The checkered flag is now waved, so this is the final opportunity for all of these drivers to see what they can do. I'll try and continue to use this microphone because the other one isn't quite ready just yet, and it's 0.276 for Dan Riley as he heads through the second sector. The final one will beckon. He's found a lot of time. Will he be a late-on challenger for this pole position? We shall wait and see as he's going to come up to what will be the line and will be improving on his 139.284. Where is the Mercedes able to go? It's going to be a 139.060, so he puts himself in contention into 4th place. Andrew Chenkovan, though, throws a spanner into the works. Another one into the works is that Paul Garung will not be improving, nor will Lucas Seracini. Owen Boldero, the next one to the line, so that's the 2 V-carbs done in their second. session, I believe. Bertwelly may well be finishing on his lap, but won't be challenging for pole position. Owen Boldero up to the line. He's going to maybe pick up a bit of slipstream, or maybe the two V-Cubs working together. Bertwelly does improve up to 6th. Owen Boldero, 38.832, up to the front row of the field. Ollie Matthews, 4/10 of a second up on his previous time, so he'll be getting the latest 38 lap time, and it will be a 1:38.899. He's in 4th. Regan Harding not going to improve. Ethan Shackleton going to come up to the line, but following one of the kick Salbers through, it'll be Connor.
Oh, I think he's broken his microphone entirely now then. But yeah, Connor Stewart did jump Ethan Shackleton there, and Ethan Shackleton immediately took that position back, so that would have been a little bit disheartening for Connor Stewart at the end there. But that will be the end of the qualifying session, and your results are from the qualifying session. It's Andrew Chenkovan. He's back. He's back. He missed last week. He's back, and he's back on pole position as we expect. Owen Boldero got pole position last week out. Dare say he'd have probably got it again if Andrew Chenkovan wasn't here this week. But it's going to be Luca Cerasini back on form in 3rd as Ollie Matthews. An uncharacteristic fall from him. Paul Garung, great result in 5th. Dan Riley, a better result than recent in 6th, but he's going to be 7th. Regan in 8th. Ethan Shackleton in 9th. Connor Stewart 10th. Brian Moore 11th. Ollie Call it in 12th, and it's going to be Aaron Petho with no time. Will start the race from 13th position. I mean, I don't know what to predict from this race. It's going to be a hard one. There's definitely going to be a crash, as we've heard somebody say in their pre-race interview. I think it's very difficult, as good as our drivers are here in APC, it's very difficult for every single person to get through a lap without a crash or without some sort of incident. I remember an incident last season that I'm not bitter about still with a couple of drivers. But yeah, we will see how this one goes. I mean, it's Ollie Matthews, who I remember saying that he's absolutely struggling on this one and hasn't set times that he expected to set. Andrea Chenkovan potentially could go for the win, but as Luca Cerasini said in the driver's chat earlier on, if he can get ahead, it's a very hard track to overtake. It's very easy to defend your position here, and that is what many of the drivers, including Luca Cerasini, are hoping for. So we will have to wait and see as we go into this session. A short break now, and as Joseph's still blaming APC for his mic issues, a short break while they all sort themselves out, and we'll hopefully get back into the session shortly. Formation lap, of course, first, so they can all try out the grip, apart from the two Aston Martins, who will, of course, crash out because they're adamant that means they're going to be faster off the line. I don't know if that's true. I'm not an expert. We just have to wait and see. But Joseph Black, what's your prediction for this one?
Well, I can tell you one thing about the Aston Martin strategy. It does work, but I do think it's wrong. So it does do what they intended it to do, but it doesn't ultimately bring them more benefit. So I personally, no idea why they do it. But of course, I'm not in the Aston Martin pit box. I'm not going to blame them for anything because I personally am not involved in any of the teams. Just to dispel that rumor, but yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me. Anyway, they're going to continue to do what they do. I mean, it's kind of like avoiding risk, so I get it, but it feels as though it's avoiding a pointless risk that at the end of the day doesn't matter all too much, and it creates anyway. That doesn't matter to me because of course I am not part of the team, and they've decided that is a good decision, and we probably will get the opportunity to speak to them about it later as we're going to head to the formation lap for this race. And apologies for the mic issues that we had during qualifying. They will not happen in the race because I've given up on that mic. I'll be dealing with it at a later date. Or a later date that isn't on APC because that appears to be the only time that it doesn't work. I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying correlation versus causation. Hey, who knows? We will be starting on the formation lap though, so we'll be seeing who's going to be on what tyre, and it will be mediums for Andrew Chenkovan, mediums for Owen Boldero, mediums for Ollie Matthews, mediums for Burt Welly, and mediums for Ethan Shackleton as well. Everybody else on the hard compound tyre, and Brian Moore and Aaron Petho already out of this session as while they get themselves ready in different ways that make their car and tyre a little bit colder, but they won't mind it because they might be following the propaganda from the two Aston Martins. But in terms of race predictions, I mean, it's hard to look past Andrea Chenkovan on his return, but of course I always like to look past the obvious answer, and I always like to give props to somebody else, and I think this could be an opportunity for Paul Garung to really prove people wrong, maybe, because it might feel as though he's sort of he came in and he was challenging with Andriy Chenkovan. He's not had the greatest of start to the season, but as he warms up, he's getting a bit quicker. And the qualifying session showed that he does have the pace. He was on pole before the end of the session, where everybody was able to knock him off, of course. But I think there's still raw pace in that Mercedes.
Yeah, he's not really been showing it as he's sort of rejoined towards the second half of the season. But as you say, we've seen his pace, and I think he's definitely got the pace still there. He just needed some time to warm back up to the game and get back into it. As we saw in quali, it looked really good. I thought potentially on for a pole position. Of course, he ended up in 5th position. I was going to say the Aston Martins have not yet done their strategy, but I would have spoken too soon, so I'm glad I didn't say it. Brian Moore and Aaron Peffo, no idea. I assume they've come together. Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps it was all on their own. But yeah, that's usually what happens when you see two cars back on the grid before everybody else. So no idea what happened there. I am on board with Brian Moore. So every race I go on board with a driver that streamed. It's Brian Moore's turn this week. But I didn't actually see that at the time. I was watching the main broadcast screen. So unfortunately, yes, I don't know what happened there. Andriy Chenkovan doing his usual thing of running away. He doesn't mess about with the pack. He just goes off and does his own thing. Tends to work for him. So I guess 3 drivers there at the front. It's going to be Andriy Chenkovan, Owen Boldero, and Luca Seracini. So I guess we have to ask which of the 3 are going to go into turn 2 at the head of the pack, or if you're Luca Seracini, which of the Throff are going to be ahead.
Well, we've seen a lot of GIFs today of the Abu Dhabi, or the Azerbaijan even, race start from 2021, of course, when Lewis Hamilton went straight on. Some people wishing that upon each other. Of course, no crash, so absolutely fine with me for them to threaten that, as the 5 lights are in front of the drivers. They're not on quite yet, but they will appear as the drivers get ready for the action to get underway, and it will go now. It's green flag racing here in Azerbaijan. It's a good start for Andriy Chenkovan, who's going to start in first place into the first corner. Owen Boldero is going to tuck in behind. It will be Luca Seracini in third, trying to ward off Ollie Matthews, who's looking to the inside of 2. He's going to send it late on the brakes, but will he be able to make his way through, or will he just be sitting behind? The answer is he'll be sitting behind. Lots of drama further back. Regan Harding under pressure from Burt Welly and Paul Garung. Garung's had a poor exit. Burt Welly's going to pick up the slipstream of Harding and maybe make his way through into turn number 3. He's going to try it. It's Burt Welly, and Harding is going to have to yield that position, I think, as yellow flags out. Ethan Shackleton at the back of the field has gone around. That could be huge for the Constructors' Championship, but that Ferrari is right at the back. In fact, it's a Ferrari sandwich as we end the first sector here in Azerbaijan. Andriy Chenkovan leads. It's Owen Boldero chasing right in behind, and his teammate has just overtaken Luca Seracini for third.
Yeah, what a crazy start. Ethan Shackleton almost went all ads. What happened there? So I wasn't looking at as Brian Moore, it would seem, who went into the wall before the castle section. I actually got his stream. It's a little bit delayed, so I'm watching it now. It is Aaron Peffo then who tried to dive Brian Moore into the corner where Dan Riley dived me last year, and that has knocked off Brian Moore's wing, and Brian Moore then went into the pause menu. I expect to make a clip for the steward, so I think that will probably be a slam dunk penalty, but I am not the steward, so I will let them decide. Back to Ethan Shackleton. He almost went into the back of Brian Moore, so Brian Moore is just getting battered this race. So Ethan Shackleton did the right thing from a league race perspective, decided to back out of the move, but in doing so, he completely missed the corner. And then he had to turn around, and he didn't quite have the space to do it. And before I hand back to you, I will correct you. It's not Ferrari sandwich, because we don't call it a bread sandwich.
Well, that is... Yeah, I guess that's true, but it's the turn of phrase that I was more emphasising. Anyway, there was also contact between Ollie Corlett and, of course, I believe it was in the end contact with Aaron Peffo, which made him lose his end plate, which is why he's into the pit on the first lap. Burt Welly making his way through on Dan Riley as well. And in fact, I can have a look at Ollie Corlett as he's been given a penalty, has the Haas. That's very unfortunate. He's been caught speeding in the pit lane, and so he will have to go all over again. So a terrible start to his Grand Prix. He'll be very disappointed with that one. But of course, it's a long race, and he's got to settle down. We've had a few safety cars across the course of this season, more than we did across the course of the whole of last season, I would imagine. And, well, we will see what will come of that. But I like that Ollie Corlett's continuing on, because sometimes you can see drivers give up. And, well, I have probably aired my grievances about that before on broadcast here, and I'm not a particularly big fan of that. So I'm glad that he has continued on and will continue racing, currently in 13th place, far off the back of the field. And, of course, having to come into the pit lane once again for a stop-go penalty. But, of course, the start of this race, not necessarily ideal for himself, and in fact it was contact with Aaron Petho, which was the reason for himself getting the front wing damage. Just it looked as though there was an optimistic send from Petho, then it was another optimistic send right behind from Corlett, and that's what happened. Or maybe they slowed down a little bit too much at the apex, that Corlett, a little bit more at the apex than Corlett was expecting, and that's the reason that he found himself out, as or not out, but down and out of the fight, as we've seen a switch for the lead of the race. And this is a really big opportunity for the two Aston Martins to try and pressure Andrea Chenkovan. There is no other Ferrari in this fight. Shackleton's off of the back. So this is a really, really good chance for the Aston Martins to try and pile on the misery on the Ferraris. And, well, Andrea Chenkovan at the moment, currently in, guess what, we'll name it right, a Ferrari sandwich with Aston Martin flavoured bread.
That's more like it. Although green bread is not something we quite enjoy in real life, but in this instance, I am enjoying it because Andrea Chenkovan is not having it all his way. We don't get to say that very often. He's not running away from the pack. He's not disappearing. And he's on the same tyres as these two. So, yeah, he's not massively got the pace here, it would seem. And I'll tell you something else. Lucas Cerasini is now part of this fight, and he's on the hard tyres. If he can hold on to the back of these drivers for long enough, he can benefit a lot more in the long run. So I tell you what, we said last week that Andrea Chenkovan not being here threw up some interesting battles for the win. Looks like we could be seeing that all over again. Regan Harden on the last that went past Dan Riley, and it looks like his teammate Paul Garung, and then Riley's hit the wall. We've gone aboard of him on the replay cameras just too late there. He hit the wall, and his teammate and Aaron Petho have gone past him, and Aaron Petho has also gone past his teammate Paul Garung, who appears to have a front wing end plate missing. So that's why he's struggling. But it looks like both the Mercedes are struggling this time out. So we spoke about Paul's pace, and we thought this could be a good showing from Paul. Unfortunately, it's not looking like that's going to be the case, although he is now going down the pit straight and has gone past Aaron Petho, because sometimes losing your wing means you go faster down the straights, but he is going to struggle massively through the corners, and he's going to hold everyone up. But Aaron Petho does not want to be held up by Paul Garung and decides to go for a late dive, but of course he's outbraked himself in turn one. He's done a brake magic that we've seen before, and therefore has dropped back into ninth position now, as he's also gone behind Dan Riley, as the lead has changed twice while we've been looking at that as well. Chenky went ahead of Owen Boldero. Owen Boldero went back ahead of Chenky, and now Ollie Matthews has also gone ahead of Andrea Chenkovan, and Lucas Cerasini is right in for this battle. So I cannot wait to see how this one's going to play out, because as it currently stands, there's 4 drivers who could all potentially take the lead, but of course there's still 23 laps to go.
Yeah, it's a long race, so settle in, everybody, because this is going to be a very, very good one. If we thought that Monza was good, so far the action that we've seen here in Azerbaijan has been even better. It's looking very, very good indeed for a fight for the top 4 and potentially the top 5 if Bert Welly is able to get into this fight, which of course he's not too far off at the moment. He may well be in DRS of Lucas Erracini as they head on to the next lap, so potentially teamwork between the two Kick Saubers as they fight, or the two V-Carbs even for 4th place as they fight their way up the order. It does appear as though Lucas Erracini has backed off a little bit, so he might be trying to give his teammate DRS, but of course he's not quite been successful as there's a virtual safety car. Daniel Riley, problems once again, and he's lost his entire front wing. I mean, when we were watching earlier on, we were watching at one particular corner where I said that that's the corner I usually go into. I think Dan Riley has fallen the same fate.
It would seem so. It looks like it's the same corner we slightly caught him go wide earlier when his teammate went past. Connor Stewart Woodard has both end plates missing and a lot of his front right missing. So I believe he may well have come into contact with Dan Riley. In fact, the data is also backing that up. So no idea what happened there. But Connor also got an ignoring yellow flags warning there. I guess he went past somebody as the VSC came out. So 30 seconds worth of penalties, many of which he will, I assume, serve now as he's in the pit lane. But yes, it looks like somebody as well, I'm going to say Aaron Petho, but don't quote me on that, actually overtook Dan Riley into the corner where he dived me last time. and I have no sympathy for that, as both kick salvers are actually in the pit lane, so they are both double stacking. I think I was on board with Dan Riley there. Did he have a drive-through? Because I don't know what happened. I don't think his tires got changed, but it may have just been a visual glitch. In fact, Ethan Shackleton has a drive-through, so he's obviously missed that there's a virtual safety car out, and Ollie Corlett would have a chance to get rid of his penalty, but actually the VSC has now gone back in. We don't get great information on this game when it comes to safety cars, so they are back to full speed racing. Looks like Bert Welly took the opportunity to pit. In fact, Owen Boldero, Andrea Chenkovan, Bert Welly, and and Dan Riley all took the opportunity to change tyres there. Of course, Connor Stewart Woodard, Ethan Shackleton, and Brian Moore did also, as we saw that double stack at Kick Sauber. Once again, it looks like Luca Serafini has chosen to do something different. And now we've seen this about three times already this season, where he's gone for a different strategy during a safety car or during some sort of something going on track, and he's always lost out. So is this another case of him making the wrong decision? We're going to have to wait and see. Ollie Matthews actually had medium tyres on as well, and yeah, he didn't stop. So actually, I'll give Lucas Orsini credit there. I completely forgot that he is on hard tyres. That's probably why he stayed out. But Ollie Matthews then, he was the one who decided not to stay. He was too close to his teammate, chose not to double stack. Could this be the undoing of that Aston Martin sandwich?
Hopefully not. They were doing very, very well at the top of the order to keep the fight to Andrew Chenkovan. But of course, we shall have to wait and see as we'll head over to what will be lap number 6 of this race. And we are going to have another driver into the pit lane in the background. That will be, I believe, Connor Stewart Woodard to serve his penalty. I don't know if they've been coming up on screen, by the way, the penalties, but they have been coming up on our end as Daniel Riley. Was that a touch on the wall there from the Mercedes? It was not one that caused damage, but it was potentially one as now the field is massively spread out as a result of that safety car, and it might be the case as Paul Garung, he's crashed into the castle section. We knew somebody would do it today, and he has caused the first full safety car of this Grand Prix.
Full safety car, here it is. We knew it was coming. I don't think a league race ever gets through Baku without a safety car, and that is actually not great for Connor Stewart Woodard. If he had known that he was going to do that, of course he's not psychic and he's not going to know that, but if he had known, he'd have held on to serve the penalties. But it does mean he can get rid of his final penalty under the safety car. Ollie Corlett as well will have an opportunity to get rid of that 10-second penalty. But I guess this does save Ollie Matthews. So from looking like he was going to be absolutely screwed in this one after that VSC helped his teammate and Andrew Chenkovan, this will save him. And he's going to go into the pit and he is not going to hang around. He is going to get that pit stop underway. And I believe he may come out ahead of Andrew Chenkovan. I may be speaking too soon. It's going to be very tight, actually. Yeah, it's going to be extremely tight. We are on board on the replay camera. You'll see it in picture-in-picture. In fact, you'll see it on the main picture. It's going to be extremely tight and with his teammate. And it's going to be his teammate who's going to go ahead. But is Andrew Chenkovan also going to go ahead? He's not. He's slotted in between his teammate and Andrea Chenkovan. So, is that the right thing, I wonder? With the fresher tyres, should he be ahead of Owen Baldero? It's hard to say. There is opportunity for them to swap positions, but these two know what they're doing. Ollie Matthews he's very analytical. He has all the data and he knows what he needs to do to win this race. And he will be discussing it with Owen Baldero as they are in a chat together. So are the teammates at Racing Bulls and so are the teammates at Kick Sauber. There was rumour that we may have an all-driver voice chat today, but that hasn't occurred, unfortunately, so otherwise I'd be popping my head in. Lucas Serafini, Regan Harding, they didn't box. Why would... I know they're on hards, but there's a safety car. Surely you just take the opportunity to box. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could be eating my words at the end of this race, but you've now got to do a restart with everyone behind you on fresh tyres. That seems like a bit of an oversight to me, so... I'm not sure your thoughts, Joseph, but that seems like I would have boxed, even on the hard tyres, given that the safety car's out.
I mean, I can understand it. Personally, I wouldn't have boxed, so it's good to get the two different perspectives. But because of course they've only done 4 more laps on those hard tyres than Owen Boldero behind. So they've got that little bit of a comfort blanket with the Aston Martin in behind. And, well, it provides them the opportunity to maybe just have that little bit of pressure relieved. If not, then they can stay with the pack. They're not going to lose too many positions, at the moment at least. They might lose them later on. But I'd say at the moment they're in a pretty decent position where they are not going to lose too much time being on those hard compound tyres. Because they're still by no means off. They're still operating within a pretty good window. So I can fully understand it, and I do actually, I support the decision to be staying out there, and we'll see what they're going to get the opportunity to do as well they head through the race. And of course they need to pit later on in this race. Of course, that goes without saying. This provides them the opportunity to have a more comfortable one stop, I think. Which is what they'll be hoping for. And, well, the hards, they're going to last, I'd say, until probably about lap 16. So they've still got, like, half the stint to go. And they might be able to extend it a little bit longer. And then they can have fresher mediums at the end. So, you disagree with it? I agree with it. What they're doing, and I think that it might just pay off for them at the end of the race. Of course, if it doesn't, it doesn't. But for the likes of Regan Harding, you can understand exactly why he's doing it, because he gets the opportunity to fight for a podium. Lucas Erracini slightly less so, but also he's got to be looking at kind of more around the fact that he does seem to have the pace today to fight for the podium. But, of course, we'll wait and see what they'll get the opportunity to do. We'll wait and see whether it is the right strategy, or wait and see whether I've got egg on my face by the end.
Yeah, I guess my thought process there was get on a fresh set of tyres and then you'll get to stay ahead, or at least with the lead pack for a while. And if there's another safety car, which there's a higher chance there could be, they'll all get to box all at the same time. Whereas potentially, if the runners behind him, behind Regan and Luca, get ahead and then start to run away and start to gap them, come the next safety car, they're going to be nowhere near. They're going to be down the order. But I can also see the argument on your side as well. One odd one there. Connor Stewart-Woodard did not box to take away that final 10-second penalty. That seems like a bit of an oversight, in my opinion. So I think he had the gap to Ollie call it. And even now, I mean, he's going to lose one position. It seems like the no-brainer thing to do. But someone hits the wall there. That's who's behind Bert? That's Aaron Petho. No, it's not Aaron Petho. I didn't see who that was. It's behind it's Dan Riley. Dan Riley's at the wall again. So behind the safety car, Dan Riley. What's happened there? So he's lost his end plate. So he will need to box again. Well, I imagine he'll need to box again. And with repair that, it's both end plates gone. So not sure what happened there. There'll be another lap of the safety car. We are waiting for the kick Saubers. We are waiting for Ethan Shackleton. And we are waiting for Ollie Corlett to catch up to the back of the pack. Speaking of Ollie Corlett then, his teammate, Alexander Vickel, that was a terrible segue. The reason he's not here is because he's gone to the countryside. That's all we got. So I'm not sure which countryside or where specifically in the countryside, but he's gone to the countryside for a little Easter holiday. But hopefully we'll see him back next week. We like to see Alexander Vickel, a very clean driver. Of course, he's getting faster, it would seem, as the sessions go on. He was pointless for a while, and now he's obviously on the board fighting with the kick Saubers. So be good to see him back. Hopefully, perhaps get a grid of 14 next week. We will wait and see. But yeah, I still can't understand why Connor Stewart-Woodard hasn't box set that penalty away. But maybe there's a good reason that I'm missing.
Yeah, for Connor, I think it's just, I don't know if you can actually serve these under the safety car, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
I think you can.
I'm not as clued in on the game as I should be. But yeah, we'll of course see how the rest of his race will pan out, and hopefully for him it'll be in a good way and in good stead for setting himself up for the rest of the season. Of course, racing alongside his teammate Brian Moore, and they've been together on the track for a while throughout the course of APC history in general, but this is the first season they've had the opportunity to be teammates. And it's fair to say they work pretty well together, as has been demonstrated in the past before they were even teammates, to benefit themselves on track. Of course, nothing untoward, because everything is fair when you're just fighting it out there, and it brings you benefit to help somebody along rather than just helping somebody along for the sake of helping somebody along. But of course, they've had the opportunity to work together as teammates. And now they find themselves in 6th place in the Constructors. Not as far off from Mercedes as you'd be expecting. The safety car will be coming in this lap. And we'll be seeing Luca Seracini lead the field away on 8-lap-old hard compound tyres. He's gone for the overcut. He's gone for the commitment to the one-stop. So is Regan Harding. So it'll be fascinating to see how the strategic battle will light up throughout the rest of this race, as we'll be getting back to green flag running very shortly. It'll be those two at the top of the field that'll be sticking together and trying to carry each other through, like the point that I was just making about the two kick Saubers. But yeah, this will be a great opportunity for them to show what they can do at the very top of the field. The two Aston Martins will be hoping that they will let them go nice and quickly and then fight Andrea Chenkvan as much as they can. But as we get back to green flag racing, Owen Boldero gets a great launch and he's going to try and get past Regan Harding into turn 1. He's going to get the chance to, and he will manage to make his way through, as Aaron Petho in the meantime might make his way through on 2 drivers. Bert Welly is 1, Andrea Chenkvan is the other, and the Williams makes his way up to 5th place. Chenkvan is going to drop down to 7th, so he loses another position to Bert Welly. Regan Harding dropping 2 positions. Lucas Aracini holding first, but for how much longer as Owen Boldero closes in? He sits behind for the time being, but that is a couple of huge moves there as Aaron Petho moving up 2 places, Chenkvan moving down, and Lucas Aracini is the only man standing in the way of an Aston Martin 1-2.
That's it. What a crazy start that was. Andrea Chenkvan down, so we didn't expect to see that. Regan Harding, we did expect to see him drop a couple of positions, so that's not crazy. One thing I will say is that before we even got going, Owen Boldero almost went into the back of Regan. In fact, there was a minor touch on the back of Regan Harding as he thought Regan was going and then went to accelerate, and then they just tapped and he got away with it without any damage. But got a much better restart as somebody's crashing the castle again. It's Brian Moore. He's completely lost his front wing, so he's not out. He's still going, but that front wing has been entirely deleted, and that looks like it's going to be a strike. It's Connor Stewart Woodard. Sorry, that's what you said to me. It's Connor Stewart Woodard. No, it's both of them. It's actually Brian Moore and Connor Stewart Woodard have both had a... wait, what? Oh, no, it is Connor Stewart Woodard. Okay, you know what's happened? I was on board with Brian Moore earlier. I thought I'd gone back on board with Brian Moore, but I'm actually on Connor's stream, so I've completely confused you. If you're listening, Connor Stewart Woodard has gone straight into the castle section. It looked like he did it on his own, so that's unfortunate. And now he does have a chance to get rid of that 10-second penalty, as Owen Boldero will now have a go at the lead, and his teammate, I dare say, will try and have a go with him. But Lucas Seracini, fantastic defence there. Braked exactly when he needed to. Didn't put anyone at danger, himself or the Aston Martins. But I tell you what, they are all on the back of him still, and they'll all have a go into the next corner. But will he come out on top? Owen Boldero looks like he will be able to get this done quite easy and cleanly there. Ollie Matthews looked like he was thinking about it, as he was a lot closer to Luca Seracini than he thought. But Aaron Petho has actually just completely dived up the inside there and has pushed Ollie Matthews into the wall. And that is Aaron Petho now falling down the order. That was an audacious attempt at an overtake.
Certainly was, and he's going to try and go for another one on the back of Andrea Chenkvan, maybe to the inside line. He's tried it before and he's a little bit closer than he was last time, but he won't quite be able to make his way through. There's contact between himself and the championship leader, and that will be end plate damage for the Williams. Is that any damage on the Ferrari car as well? We'll have a look, and it appears to be the left front end plate for Andrea Chenkvan. Massive moment in this race, potentially massive moment in this championship as well, but that will be a massive, massive crash, and we will see whether that will be in the stewards later on in this race. At the moment, Owen Boldero has managed to build a huge gap to the 2 behind, to the 3 behind, in fact, with Bert Welly involved in this fight now as well. And they're going to try and go down the main straight with the DRS. Ollie Matthews really bumper to bumper, front wing to rear wing on the back of the V-carb in front, and he's going to try and pick up the DRS to make his way through. Is he going to get the chance to? Yes, he in fact will, and he's going to be just a 10th behind as he pulls to the inside line of the first corner. Lucas Aracini's going to fight this one here. He wants to let his teammate through. There might be 3 wide as Matthews gets through. Welly gets through. Lucas Aracini drops down 2 positions, and in the meantime, Dan Riley is going to send it on Aaron Petho as soon as he tried to rejoin the track. There's contact between himself and the Hungarian. Dare I say that's a racing incident, but Dan Riley dropping down to 11th place. And well, he's just seen his opportunity for the top 5 fade through not really any fault of his own.
There's not many races where I literally have my hand over my mouth with shock. In fact, there's a sticker in the APC Discord, if you're a member. If you're not, do join. It is free to join and see what's going on. Of me pulling that exact reaction whilst driving the car at this exact track last season when an incident happened against me. But what are we witnessing? I have the feeling one of these drivers on track will have so many penalties that there'll either be a ban for next week or a ban from the season in general. But again, that decision comes down to the stewards. But with the amount of incidents we've seen, and majority of them seem to all be involving one driver, I would be surprised if we don't see some action taken. So, as it currently stands, the Aston Martins are running 1 and 2, and the Ferraris are together on track, but in 6th and 7th, and not on the podium positions. Again, actually, speaking of Noah's Ark, it is Bert Welly and Luca Serafini in 3rd and 4th. We saw Bert get his first podium of the season last week. He was looking to recreate that this week, and on the younger tyres, that should be doable. Not a great showing from the Mercedes, of course. I don't think it's all completely Dan Riley's fault. Looks like he's had some incidents with some other drivers that potentially might not have been his fault. We went on board with all of them. Paul Garung has crashed out. Connor Stewart Woodard did actually retire in the pit lane, something we don't usually see him do. But I guess he was just a bit frustrated after just having a really bad race up to this point. So, you know, he had 30 seconds of penalties, of course, to contend with, which isn't ideal. Andrea Chenkovan is on the back of Aaron Petho. Is he going to attempt an overtake on Aaron Petho given what happened earlier on? I mean, he has to, because he can't just sit in this position for the rest of this race. But Aaron Petho is actually going to go past Luca Serafini and then go into the wall for his troubles. Luca Serafini is still there or thereabouts and will want to get back. It's going to be pass or be pass for Luca, I fear here, because Andrea Chenkovan will not want to sit behind him for too long. So he will have a go at him at some point. Luca Serafini getting a great exit there then out of that corner. He'll have a go on Aaron, but Aaron's had a good straight line speed, it would seem. And he will stay ahead into the castle section. And Andrea Chenkovan will stay behind Luca Serafini until at least the 3rd sector.
Yeah, they're going to sort of filter themselves out as they go, and it will be Aaron Petho up ahead. I'm not sure how long those medium tyres are going to be lasting, but Aaron Petho at the moment looking in a pretty decent position to continue his race on as the two behind look like they're about to scrap. Andrea Chenkovan is desperate to get past Luca Serafini and set his sights on the Hungarian ahead once again, which he's going to try and do. That was another end plate off in the background. Not quite sure who that would have been. But somebody has just hit the wall. I think it might have been Aaron Petho. Potentially Aaron Petho. I think it was actually his teammate Regan Harding just behind who lost an end plate. But it is both the Williams who have had potential problems. Andrea Chenkovan tried to pull ahead into the penultimate corner. Luca Serafini swept across to defend it. Andrea Chenkovan, though, is not having that because he's got the DRS down the next straight. And in fact, he's diving into the pit lane. So Andrea Chenkovan is going to dive into the pit lane for what is potentially the final time in this race. Has he got front wing damage on that car? Yes. Will he fix it? Yes. And that will be a lot of time lost. And once again, it's going to be very interesting in terms of the championship as Dan Riley to the inside of turn 1, trying to get 2 of them as he gets Brian Moore potentially to the inside of Ollie Corlett as well. But no, he just backs out, decides that he's not going to be able to make that move. I think, in fact, that decision was made for him by the fact that he just didn't make the move in the end, couldn't make his way through, and just remains sitting in behind for the time being. But there is opportunity for Dan Riley as he's warmed up to this circuit, and I'll continue to count how many times the incident from last season is mentioned on this stream. Currently we're at 5. I'm expecting that we'll be getting to 8 by the end of this race, but Dan Riley at the moment hoping to continue his race on nice and cleanly, and well, challenging Ollie Corlett throughout the course of the first sector.
Tell you what though, credit where it's due. That overtake from Dan Riley, and he's going to go around the outside here. So maybe he's actually learned from last season, and he's going to go around the outside instead and actually make a clean overtake. Congratulations to Dan Riley there. But I'll tell you what, one credit where it's due. That move into turn 1 was absolutely fantastic. It was a little bit late potentially, but he was able to get ahead of Brian Moore and not go into the back of Ollie Corlett. I tell you what, when I saw him dive for that overtake, I was like, he's going straight into the back of Ollie Corlett into turn 1. But he got it stopped perfectly. He judged that bang on and was able to get past Ollie Corlett later in the lap. So fantastic overtake from Dan Riley there. So it's not, it's not all negative. But as we look back at the front, it's going to be Owen Baldero. He's going to stick with his teammates and working together, I'm sure. Ollie Matthews on the younger tyres. And looks like Aaron Petho is going to go into the pit lane and get off those 8-lap-old medium tyres. Brian Moore, who I am on board with, as I've said, is also going to go into the pit lane and get rid of those tyres as they are getting extremely old. I have seen the tyre life. I won't reveal it on stream, but Aaron Petho will change his front wing. So that's Brian Moore back at the back of the pack, but on fresh tyres. And that's Andrew Chenkovan in 9th position. I don't think we've said that at all this season. Andrew Chenkovan is in 9th position, but this gives him an opportunity on the youngest hard tyres to fight his way back. And if there's anyone who's going to be able to fight their way back cleanly and fast through the pack, it's going to be Andrew Chenkovan.
Yeah, we'll see, of course, what he's going to be capable of throughout the course of the rest of this race, which, of course, we don't have long to go. It's flown by, and we've got 11 laps left of racing with the two Aston Martins 1-2 at the moment, and they will take a huge chunk out of the Ferrari Championship charge. Ethan Shackleton, in fairness to him, is doing a pretty decent job in that 4th place, considering the way that his race started, considering the way that his turn 1 went. So he's had a fantastic job, in fact, to make his way back through and just to continue on the fight and remain in the race for the time being. And he looks as though he's going to be able to pick up potentially a top 4 finish, which would be huge considering what we thought it would be at turn number 1. But of course the drama throughout the course of this race has led to this position, and well, it's just about staying in the fight, which is one of the reasons I don't like drivers retiring. But anyway, of course, when you have something like Connor Stewart Woodards, it is very tempting where even a safety car would potentially not save your race. But of course, those drivers who are continuing on now in this race, which we have 11 of, are going to continue the fight. And we have got pit stops. Bert Welly, Owen Boldero and Lucas Aracini switching onto the 2-stop strategy for this race. And in fact, it will be the first pit stop of this race for the Kick Sauber, who decides to dive in. I believe that's is that Lucas Aracini pitting for the first time in this race? I believe it is not. I believe it is in fact the other Kick Sauber who is just waiting in behind. And there we go, that'll be Lucas Aracini. Very disappointed to wait so long, but of course that's the nature of the double stack. That's what happens, and he'll be coming out hoping that the double stack will pay off in the end for him, because it was a very, very long time to wait indeed, because you basically got to wait, especially with how close they were, you've basically got to wait 2 pit stops. So potentially poorly managed from the 2 Kick Saubers, or from the 2 V-Cubs even, but we'll see how that spans out across the course of the race. Saraceni out in 10th place, but of course he's very quick, but he's 6.8 seconds off the back of Aaron Petho at the moment. So I'd say he's lost more time than gained in that pit stop, and I think one more lap could have done him. But of course his tyres might have been nearing puncture region. But Bert Welly into the pit lane anyway, through a curveball into the mixture as there's a swap. Ollie Corlett is fighting with Aaron Petho, and it looks like Petho has just been able to make his way ahead nice and cleanly as Bert Welly on the back of Daniel Riley.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be a fight then from Bert and Andrew Chenkovan are going side by side through the back. Oh, it's not really a straight, but it's basically flat out. And they're going to go side by side through the corner. That is not a corner you often see drivers go side by side. It's extremely hard to keep it clean through there side by side. They're going to continue side by side into the final proper corner, and Bert Welly will remain ahead. It looks like, despite being in a voice chat with each other, they hadn't communicated that pit stop very well. Bert Welly pit and actually changed his front wing. So we missed some damage for him there, which meant Lucas Aracini had to wait for the front wing to be changed and then wait for the mechanics to reset themselves and go again. It's going to be 3 wide almost into turn 1. Bert Welly's staying ahead, but Andrew Chenkovan's going to break really late. But as we know, Andrew Chenkovan is able to judge these things extremely well, and it remains behind for now. But we'll have another go as we have DRS down this next straight, and Dan Riley and Aaron Petho are there waiting for their opportunity. Aaron Petho will go past Dan Riley once again in this race, it would seem. Or at least they'll go side by side. But well, it remains ahead of Andrea Chenkovan. And he's been pushed into the wall. So Dan Riley and Aaron Petho going side by side has pushed Dan Riley into the wall. And it's going to be a full safety car once again. And one thing we just caught on stream there, Andrea Chenkovan must have been a bit distracted by that safety car and also ran into the wall on his own and then just ran into the back of Bert Welly there.
Yeah, it's not been a good race for Andrea Chenkovan. All of his luck is going against him. But what is good is if he finishes his race, he gets guaranteed points. Well, it should be very, very interesting indeed for the rest of this race. Those drivers who pitted are going to be benefiting. But Ethan Shackleton, absolutely living life at the top of the field. You'd imagine he's going to come in one more time and make that change for the final 9 laps of this race. you'd think, maybe, even to the medium compounder tyres by the end of this race. But we'll see as Regan Harding, what's happened to him as he's dropped down the order behind Burt Welly and Andrei Chenkovan. Not quite sure, but we've seen a couple of drivers have moments in that corner. He might be another one as he's lost his front wing end plate.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was just giving way just because he felt like they were faster, or if he's had an issue, or maybe even had that glitch where a few people get told that they've overtaken under safety car. Because I saw Burt go ahead of him through the castle section and then hand it back. And I don't know if then Regan then got the overtaking, give position back message, and then gave it back, and then Chenky also gone past. But potentially he just decided to get out of the way, knowing he was going to stop anyway to repair that front wing, I'd imagine, and go on to some fresh tyres. He's currently on 17-lap old hard tyres. I didn't realise that he hadn't stopped yet. So he's now going on to some brand new medium tyres, which will safely see him to the end. But yes, what a crazy race we've had so far. We said this. Baku always throws up some craziness, and this may well have saved Andrei Chenkovan from probably his poorest result of the season, if you don't include his DNS for just not being here. So yeah, wait and see. Ollie call it. He got 1 point last time out. He'll be hoping to get another one again. All we need to do is not crash, and he will pick up at least 1 point. Lucas Seracini, as we said earlier on, has now ended up in 8th position and somehow got ahead of Regan again here. So not sure what's happening with Regan. He seems to be letting people pass when he probably shouldn't be. But yeah, that's now all gone back to normal. So yeah, Lucas Seracini, from battling potentially for a win, is now battling for the lower reaches of the order. Is that down to him not stopping earlier? We don't know. We're never going to know. We don't have a crystal ball, but yeah, it doesn't look great for his race when he had so much promise out of this one. The Aston Martins, however, are up there, and it's the other Ferrari of Ethan Shackleton who will try and have a go at the win here.
Yeah, he's going to give it a go, and he's in the best position to do so. Somehow, after all of this race, Andrei Chenkovan finds himself in 5th place. So absolutely fair play to the Ferrari, who's really trying to fight throughout the course of this race. Even Shackleton really weaving to try and get those tyres warmed up. Doesn't make much sense when we know that the safety car isn't coming in this lap. It'll be in next lap. So not quite what he would be hoping for. The two Aston Martins in perfect position. And, well, I will just bring up the constructor standings from before the race just to give you a reminder of how close they could possibly get. So the difference between Ferrari and Aston Martin at the moment is going to be 53 points. If they pick up a maximum, which you'd imagine they will do, of course the fastest lap won't go to them at the moment, is currently held by Aaron Petho. But if you have a look at the top two drivers, they will be picking up 25 and 18 points, which is 43. So they'll be getting those 43 points in the bag. Then, if you have a look at Shackleton, and potentially if you have a look at Andrei Chenkovan, if you say that he's going to drop a position, which I reckon he will between now and the end of the race, because of course he finds himself in 5th place just ahead of Aaron Petho with front wing damage. So I'm going to say he's going to drop a position. I'm going to say he gets 8 points. I'm going to say Ethan Shackleton gets 15. They only get 23. That's 20 points gained. And they could do that all over again the next race, or something along those lines. So we'll see what happens between now and the end of the race, but I think it's promising signs. I think it's very promising signs for the two Aston Martins, but they have to take this opportunity.
Oh, they have to do everything they can to remain ahead, but Ethan Shackleton would be wanting this very, very badly. I don't think we've seen a win from Ethan Shackleton at all this season. We've seen one podium, if I remember correctly, which means he's only joined us in the comms box for an interview once, because he only really joins us when he gets a podium, unfortunately, which is a shame because we love speaking to Ethan Shackleton. So he'll be doing everything he can. He's on the freshest tyres on the field. Well, I mean, equal to some of the other runners like Regan and Luca and Ollie Corlett. But yeah, in terms of the top 5, he is on the freshest tyres and will have a go. Aaron Petho, he's going to do something for sure, because from what we've seen this race, he's not very patient here, it would seem, which is unfortunate. But yeah, he will try and get ahead of Andrei Chenkovan, no doubt. But Andrei Chenkovan, oh, that was Brian Moore. Brian Moore went straight into the wall there, and somehow Ollie Corlett has a 10-second penalty for going into the back of Luca Seracini. I assume Luca got distracted by Brian going into the wall and backed up, and Ollie just wasn't ready and prepared for that and has gone into the back of him. But for the time being, we are going to get restarted very shortly. And Joseph, I will hand back to you for the restart of this race.
Yeah, we're going to have 7 laps to go, and it could be the 7 most important laps in this season. Ollie Matthews and Owen Boldero find themselves at the front of the field with the pace controlled in the Aston Martin's hands, and the green machines will try to hold on to it as Regan Harding and Lucas Aracini swap positions further back in the field. Lucas Aracini hoping to climb back up, and well, he's going to do so on a set of new medium compound tyres. Is Ollie Matthews going? Is it green flag racing? It is going to be right about now where we're going to get the green flag waved, and Ollie Matthews will lead into the first corner. Is Ethan Shackleton going to make the move into the first one? No. Is Burt Welly going to get under pressure from Andrew Chenkovan? Yes, he is. But he's going to turn that pressure into an attack on Shackleton, who goes to the inside line of Owen Boldero into turn number 2. But Shackleton has to remain in behind. Burt Welly looking for the move. Can't quite find it. And in the background, there's contact. That is Harding, and that is Brian Moore, who come together. Shackleton and Boldero continue their fight on, and Boldero is going to try to squeeze the gap for Shackleton, closing it, and Ollie Corlett out of the race. We've got yellow flags out once again. I think it's a virtual safety car this time, as all positions are swapping. They're trying to give them back. Little bit of madness, but that'll be Ollie Corlett out of the race, and I believe that to be, it is indeed, a virtual safety car on lap 20. We barely got a sector in, and we are under yellow flag conditions again. The race is neutralised, but for Ollie Matthews, that is perfect.
Cautions breed cautions, as we've heard so many times in motor racing. And I tell you what, Andrew Chenkovan, looks like that VSC came out at the exact same time that the safety car came out last time, and he drove into the same wall again on his own. So no idea what happened there. I mean, he may have got pushed, he may not have seen it on the camera, but as we go back to green flag running, Ollie Matthews has a 2.5 second gap on Ethan Shackleton, and Ethan Shackleton's been caught napping as his teammate Owen Boldero will want to have a go around the outside here. And it looks like Boldero's gone wide, and he's gone into the wall. So there, and so has Burt Welly. So what a crazy restarts with VSC we've had there. And I tell you what, that Aston Martin 1-2 looks like it is now fallen down the drain as Owen Boldero makes a mistake all on his own as he tries to get past Ethan Shackleton for the second position there. But he will have another go. With a broken front wing, he will be able to get back into the top 2 positions. But he's going to struggle throughout the rest of this lap, and I dare say that Ethan Shackleton will have another go at him later on through this race. In fact, he's going to go into turn 1, and it's not going to quite pull it off, but this battle will continue for the remaining 6 laps.
Oh, of course it will, and it will be side by side between Ethan Shackleton and Lucas Aracini into the first corner. By the way, there was contact between Aracini and Petho into that turn, the penultimate corner on the racetrack, as, well, Petho didn't quite realise that Aracini was having such problems and went into the back of him, potentially causing damage. There's huge damage for Owen Boldero, who's desperately trying to do as much as he can. 1, to hold on to the position. 2, to let Ollie Matthews fly away, which he's doing at the moment. This is incredible teamwork between the 2 Aston Martins, and there might be moves on here for Lucas Aracini. He's managed to make his way up to 4th place, and he might be fighting for the podium on the back of Ethan Shackleton as they head through on lap number 21. And, well, Owen Boldero, he's able to close them right up. This is the nature of the tight, twisty street circuit here in Baku. He's able to close this field right up and get all of 2nd down to 7th right into the DRS, put the pressure on Ethan Shackleton as much as he can, and then he can try to maximise everything that he can right ahead because of the pressure that is being put on behind by Lucas Aracini and by Petho, by Welly, and by Regan Harding as well. It's incredibly close between these drivers as we will head on to lap 22. Is there a move into the penultimate corner on the racetrack by Lucas Aracini? No, there's not. But as we head down the main straight, I'd be expecting the pressure to be well and truly on Owen Boldero, who in fairness has that front wing damage. So that means he'll be just that little bit quicker down the straight, which means that the benefit of DRS is potentially nullified, especially with Lucas Aracini going alongside and ahead of Ethan Shackleton as they head down towards the first corner. Is there going to be a double salvo move here for Lucas Aracini up into 2nd place? And from the back, from the safety car restart, Aracini is up to 2nd.
What are we watching here? This is fantastic. It's gone from a bit of a crazy race to, well, what's still a crazy race, but crazy for all the right reasons now. The incidents have finished and the racing has begun. Owen Boldero will want to come back at Lucas Aracini, which has absolutely shocked me because he's struggling through the corners. I tell you what, from a teammate perspective, Owen Boldero is doing everything perfectly. He is keeping all the drivers behind, and all he needs to do through this middle sector is keep it nice and smooth and keep it out of the wall, and nobody behind will be able to get past. Some people may try, but they will not be successful as long as he positions his car in the right place. Second, all the way down to 7th in this DRS train, and any one of these could potentially be looking at a podium. Although Burt Welly looks like he's struggling to hold on to Aaron Petho, so Regan will want to get past him as soon as possible so he doesn't fall off this pack. And actually, as it stands, Burt Welly has fallen off the pack, so he needs to either speed it up or Regan needs to get past to have a chance at fighting for the podium. But 7.3 seconds is the gap between Ollie Matthews and his teammate Owen Boldero.
Yeah, and we're going to be heading on to what will be lap number 23 of 26. So time is running out for the drivers to get back through an Owen Boldero, who's had a fantastic drive and needs to hold on to it right at the end of the race. For reference, they are 3 seconds slower than Ollie Matthews per lap at the moment as Regan Harding makes his way through on Burt Welly and up into 5th place, or up into 6th place even, with his teammate in 5th and trying to launch an assault on his teammate later on. There might be a move back into the first corner, but there's also a move from Lucas Aracini back on Owen Boldero. Is Ethan Shackleton able to do anything? No, he's not. He has to remain behind as they head into the first corner. Is Burt Welly able to defend from Regan Harding's attacks later on in this first couple of corners section? Yes, he can. As Regan Harding, out of the race, he's crashed into the first corner. It's another virtual safety car. And, well, I mean, Burt Welly was successfully able to defend because Regan Harding into the wall. We're down to 8 competitors here, and our championship leader is in last as we have just the 4 laps to go.
Like, that was unexpected. So he, as we were saying, Regan wanted to get past Burt as quickly as possible because Burt had such a poor front wing that every corner he was going through, he was extremely slow and holding Regan up, who was the faster driver. Regan tried to hold it around the outside and just misjudged the corner and went straight into the outside wall. So that is unfortunate for Regan with only 4 laps remaining, or 3.5 remaining. That was a great opportunity. The VSC is out and we will wait for that to go green again. But that means that Andrew Chenkovan will not be able to benefit from this. And as it currently stands, Brian Moore looks like if he continues doing what he's doing and driving smoothly, he will be able to finish this race in P7 ahead of the championship leader.
One thing that's absolutely crucial for this race is how Owen Boldero gets this restart going. He was just under a second ahead of Ethan Shackleton, and at the moment, if he's able to nail it, he's going to be able to stay ahead of Ethan Shackleton, ahead of the DRS of Ethan Shackleton. We are back to green flag racing. He is able to get ahead of that 1 second gap, so Ethan Shackleton won't have DRS unless he pushes, and he knows that because he's absolutely flying to catch up with Owen Boldero as we get back to green flag racing. In the meantime, don't forget that Aaron Petho has that penalty, that 3 second time penalty. That will come into play later on as he fights with Ethan Shackleton, but you'd imagine that he will continue to try and duke it out as if he didn't even have the penalty, because of course you can get those penalties removed as Boldero actually drops out of the DRS range of Seracini. He's going to get back into it with the DRS, but as we head on to lap 24, the pressure is very much on Boldero to stay within the podium rather than the pressure being on Seracini, and that is mainly because of Owen Boldero's wing damage, which is of course it helped him for a couple of laps where he was able to keep that pace down the main straight. Now it's massively hindering him, and it might put the pressure on himself with Ethan Shackleton in behind. It's all to play for the last few podium positions with just the 3 laps to go, and Boldero versus Shackleton looks like the fight to watch right at the very end.
Yeah, I tell you what, now that Boldero was not able to get ahead of Luca before the twisty sector 2, he, I think, will now fall into the clutches of Ethan Shackleton. I'm not sure what happened there and why he struggled to get back past. I think he must have had a really poor final sector. But yes, unfortunately, that is going to be all that she wrote when it comes to him fighting for the 2nd position. I tell you what, Ollie Matthews, I noticed, took it very conservatively through the VSC. He lost about a second to Lucas Orsini on the restart, but he wouldn't have been bothered, apologies, because I was still 6 seconds away. So not a lot in it. I'm sorry, I just got distracted by Brian Moore there as I was trying to see if he can stay ahead of Andrew Chenkovan. Unfortunately, he's really struggling for some reason, and it looks like Andrew Chenkovan will get at least one more position in this race, which I think is the least he deserves with all the bad luck he's having. But also, some of the driving ability. I can't put it all down to luck. We have seen him go into the wall on his own on a couple of occasions, so not his best showing. But we do see these these races, although we haven't seen it since Hungary Season 8, I believe. And Ethan Shackleton will now put one step onto the final step of the podium. 1 foot is the word I was going for there. Here we are, almost at the end of this race. 1 foot on the final step of the podium. Can he keep it? I believe he will better keep it from Owen Baldero. So Owen Baldero will struggle to come back past. But could somebody else mount a surprise further back? Or could we see one more crash with only 2 laps remaining?
We've just seen Aaron Petho go into the wall on the exit of turn number 2, but I don't think that's going to matter too much at the moment, as we will be seeing a move for that final spot, and I don't think Brian Moore's going to have enough to fight with Andrew Chenkovan, who's going to be able to pick up 7th position in this race. And well, I said he'd lose a position from 5th, which he was at earlier on, and he has. He's dropped down to 7th place, so he's dropped down a position further than I was expecting him to. But Ethan Shackleton in the same position I was expecting him to be. Owen Baldero, though, with that front wing damage, has not been able to make the most of the fight at the top of the field, has not been able to make the most of the top 2 positions that they found each other in, but still a huge haul of points will be heading the way of the Aston Martin team as they head through towards the next race. Of course, don't forget that they are trying to close in the championship, and this will be a huge haul of points for them. It'll be 37 that they'll be taking home, and the Ferrari team themselves, they will be taking home just the 21, so it's going to be a 16-point swing still, in fact, between these 2 teams, which is going to be massive in terms of the fight. But as we see Ollie Matthews heading on to the final lap, it was perfect sacrificial driving from Owen Baldero, really, for Ollie Matthews to be able to win this race at a canter. He's come so close so many times before, and this might be the opportunity that he's been waiting for so very long to take his first APC victory. There's been so many different moments throughout the course of this season and last season even, where he felt as though he may well have had a chance to take the victory. Take last time out, where he finished under a second behind Alexis Mason, 8/10 the difference between the 2 at the end after a dramatic fight. He finished 2nd place in Hungary earlier on this season, and it really appears to be that he is the nearly man. Race 3, of course, he also finished 2nd to Alexis Mason. So as soon as we get rid of Alexis from the equation, as soon as Andrea Chenkovan has problems, it really appears to be that Ollie Matthews is able to take advantage of it. He and Owen Baldero was a new partnership for this season. They were both very excited to get it going, and in the end of it, it appears to be a partnership that is working out, and they might be able to challenge Ferrari, the first team to be able to challenge Ferrari in what feels like years now, and it pretty much is starting to become years, as Ethan Shackleton and Andrew Chenkovan look impenetrable at the top of both standings. But these 2 appear to be the 2 to beat them, and it appears to be today that Ollie Matthews is going to be able to come home and take Aston Martin's first victory with this new partnership. It's a new dawn, it's going to be a new day, and on race number 9 of this APC season, it's a new light, and we have a potential fight on for this Constructors' Championship. Sacrificial driving from Owen Baldero, great teamwork from the 2, and a great strategy from Ollie Matthews is going to take the Aston Martin to his first victory in the Almost Pro Championship, as he will come across the line here in Azerbaijan. It was not the wet race that he was hoping for, but it's the result that he would have been begging for so long. Victory for Ollie Matthews here in Azerbaijan. 2nd place for Luca Seracini, who comes across the line 1.9 ahead of Ethan Shackleton, who takes home a very well-earned podium. 4th for Owen Baldero, whose sacrificial driving saw his teammate take all 25 points home, and Aaron Petho in 5th, just ahead of Bert Welly after the penalty applied. And Bert Welly with no front wing, 2 cars stricken, as that's going to be a big crash down the main straight. Andrew Chenkovan, our final finisher, as Brian Moore didn't quite see the race to an end. So we had 7 finishers in what is the most dramatic race I've seen in the Almost Pro Championship. We thought Monza was dramatic. We saw nothing in comparison to what happened at the Baku Street Circuit here today, and it will be Ollie Matthews who takes the victory.
The most dramatic race is probably an understatement. That was manic, and I'm here for it. Brian Moore there did crash on the last straight as he came out of the final corner. No idea if he done it on purpose or not. He will, of course, be... he will get point for that. Still with the points, he'll finish in that position. I can't remember the word I'm looking for there. He will be classified. That's the word. He will be classified and will still get the points. But yes, what a fantastic ending. And we have a brand new winner here in APC. Lucas Ericini would have been hoping it was going to be him. But unfortunately today, it is the Aston Martin of Ollie Matthews. And I tell you what, Owen Baldero was not far behind Ethan Shackleton at the end there, as Ethan Shackleton was starting to struggle towards the end, but he wasn't. Owen Baldero was not able to get past. I see we're not going to get the results on screen, annoyingly. But yeah, what a fantastic race that was. And I tell you what, there were some good results, but I was definitely going to get some crazy stewards reports, I'm sure.
I'm sure we certainly will. I'm really sure we will. But what a race that was in the end. And, well, we briefly almost had the opportunity to get the results up on screen, but in the end, no such luck. That is, of course, not the point of this one. The point was that we had an absolutely sensational race. And I think I'm going to go against what I normally do here. I'm going to drag in the race victor straight away. Ollie, talk to me. How was that?
That was an absolute roller coaster. I don't think I can really describe what happened there. I didn't think I was in a position to win it until that kind of second stops came around, and I'm like, wait, this is doable. And then the safety car came in, because I think I could have won by a lot more, regardless of that later safety car. But I don't know how I did that.
Well, it was an absolutely fantastic race from yourself. And I mean, you and Owen, great partnership. Just how much did he contribute to that win today?
Oh, he was the MVP. That was all of him on that second restart. We kind of coordinated when we were going to go, and he didn't quite get the power down as quickly as that would have been nice. But and then he just put on mission defend, and he defended for his life, and he was the reason that gap was almost 10 seconds at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very good performance from both of you, and a very good teamwork play as well. Constructors' Championship, do you think it's still on? I mean, this has given you a great bit of leverage.
It most certainly is, because we need more Shanky races like that. I don't know what the gap is after that, but it was just under 60 before the race, or like 51, 53. So we would have tightened that down massively with whatever happened to Shanky, which I'm not quite sure what did happen to him, but I'm grateful that his kind of pace was a bit lacking. And if there's more races like that, I think we could do it. But it's going to come right down to the wire.
Yeah, it certainly will come right down to the wire. It was a very, very good race indeed. And, well, first APC victory headed your way. Carl, have you got anything for Ollie before we let him go?
Absolutely. Well done on that win. I tell you what, we love to see a new winner. I was absolutely celebrating you there. I think, and obviously, no, I'm not biased. Obviously, it could have been anyone on the grid. I just love seeing a new winner as obviously the league owner. It's good to see. So, congratulations. I guess my question is, like, quite early on, you guys and Lucas Saraceni, you all had the pace with Andrea Chenkovan. So, do you think without Andrea making the mistakes that he made, the win was still possibly on?
I think so. Owen was certainly matching him in those early phases of the race, and once he got past, he was maintaining the gap. I saw Shanky have some massive slides at points, so I wonder if that those controller grip hacks aren't particularly useful around Baku, which benefited us. But it was really tight between kind of 6 of us, so it could have been anyone's games, and in the end it was strategy based, and the double hard compounds for me and Owen seemed to work wonders.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again. Honestly, you drove fantastically there, and you deserved it. And here's to some more wins later in the season.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that was, of course, your race winner, Ollie Matthews. We went against the grain here today, but well, that was a very, very good race indeed for himself, and he will be absolutely over the moon with that one. I think it's fair to say, as well, we will drag the next driver into the box and just having a look to see who we should bring in. I think we should bring in the man who crashed on the final lap of the race, Brian Moore. How was that from your perspective?
It went better than I could have, but it also went worse than I could have. I was sitting there trying to survive. Apart from until the last lap where I forgot I had wing damage and tried to take the right-hander flat out. I died then, but apart from that, the rest of the race was really just trying to survive and trying not to get involved in some of the incidents ended up getting dragged into.
Yeah, it was very much a chaotic race. And, the strategy seemed to be really, really interesting. Of course, you pitted on lap number 4 to make the switch from the hards to the mediums. What was the thinking behind that?
I needed a new front wing after losing both end plates early on, and I didn't want to risk losing time, so virtual safety car came out, so I decided to take the risk then to make the move to mediums, but they didn't really work that well, so it was more so just trying to survive on them long enough to go mediums to the end at that point.
Yeah, it appeared to be just a survival game from your perspective. And then the final corner, what happened there?
I had, obviously I was missing the front half, or the right half of my front wing. That slipped my mind going into the corner, and I tried to take it flat out rather than lifting slightly to get through the corner, and I just hit the wall, and then I forgot it was final lap. I thought there's still a few laps left, so I thought that was the race over. Then I realised that it was final lap.
Yeah, it was a crash that we had no chance of seeing on the stream because, of course, what happened. But I'm sure that it'll be added in the replay because, as you may have found out, Kyle was watching on from your perspective here today. Kyle, I mean, of course, you watched Brian a bit more today. Have you got anything for Brian before we let him go?
Oh, Brian, you'll be pleased to hear. I was watching your stream on a device that I wasn't recording on, so we didn't get that one from stream. You'll be pleased to see there's so much going on at the front that we were focusing on that towards the end because it looked like Owen Goldero may or potentially been able to get third position at the end there. So I was on board without the replay cam, so you got lucky there. But I got to see it on my tablet, but. Yeah, so was it always the one stop for you today, no matter what, or is that a decision you decided sort of as you went on?
I wanted to do the one stop hard to mediums from there. I wanted to take hards long at the start, try and make something happen, but when I sort of realised that wasn't happening with that early front wing damage, then it was a 2-stop at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, congratulations anyway. I was rooting for you to stay ahead of Andrew Chenkovan, but this is Andrew Chenkovan we're talking about. It was always going to be a big ask, but well done nonetheless. You survived, should we say? So it wasn't easy to do, it would seem. But yeah, thanks as always for jumping in and speaking to us, and we'll obviously speak to you very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully as soon as next week. That was Brian Moore, who ended up not finishing, but still being a classified finisher, really. As the next driver that we're going to bring in is going to be Regan Harding, who, of course, had his race. It was an interesting one from all perspectives. Do you want to just talk me through how it was from your end?
I'm sorry, you cut off there. Say that again to me.
Just talk to me about that race in general. How did you find it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be faster than the top guys, so I thought I'd go for something different and try stop late and go for a one stop, which I did successfully do. But I don't know. I was watching the broadcast there, and you guys were mentioning why was I letting people by. I just got that glitch. I don't know what it was under the safety car, where it would say like catch safety car queue, and then it would like jump up and down, and then it would say let this person pass. I unfortunately got sandwiched in the safety car restart. I sent that to Kyle. I don't know if you've included that or not, but I think that kind of just messed it up. And then from then, I was just driving annoyed because I was looking at Demon, and he was obviously behind me, and he was in the podium. And I was like, I know I could be up there. So fair play to Bert. He done a good job holding me up. He done exactly what he wanted to do, which is just annoy me and frustrate me. And I knew he was so much slower, and I knew he was trying to slow me up. So I kind of just got frustrated and tried to go for like squeeze around the outside or push as much as I can, and I just pushed too much. So yeah, look, I'm not completely distraught. Like I thought I'd be more annoyed, to be honest, but it kind of shows that I guess maybe with a bit of luck, I can get a podium, and it's going to come when it's meant to come. So I'm not going to be too upset over it, I suppose.
Yeah, of course, it's all about the work, and that's what Ollie Matthews has discovered. Is he's finally just got his first victory over the line, which is really good to see. But yeah, I mean, it looked like it was a race that had some promise from yourself in terms of the pace. Strategy wise, it was a bit of a weird one, and you decided to stay out the whole time. What was the thinking behind that? I personally agreed with it, by the way, just to clarify. I'm not sure.
Okay, right.
Just talk to me.
Well, the original strategy was telling me to go two stop, but Senkai is very kind, and I got all my setups off of him. And on his one, it said a one stop was possible, but I kind of just thought, look, I'll go as long as I can, and I feel like a safety car is like almost like always guaranteed. So I'll start on hards and go as long as I can. And I was going to pit, but Demon didn't pit when that safety car came out, and I kind of just thought, look, if I pit now, I'm guaranteed maybe a P6 or maybe 5 or 7, I don't know, but I was like, what do I have to lose? I'll just stay out and see what I can do. So yeah, look, it didn't work out in the end, but I'm still glad I done it. I'm still glad I chanced it. And as I said, I think if the second safety car restart where I didn't unfortunately get sandwiched or get caught, I do think I would have been. I definitely top 4. I really strongly do think I would have been on the podium. But sure, look, that's unfortunately the way it went. You always woulda, coulda, shoulda. I shouldn't have clipped the wall and got annoyed when Bert wouldn't let me pass. But yeah, I thought, what do I have to lose? I kind of just thought I'm not faster than the top 5. The best I can finish is top 5 here, maybe top 6. Like, let's just chance it and see. So that was the thinking behind that. Tires actually weren't too bad. The wear wasn't too high. I think the highest was 75. So I was actually going to pit either on that lap, which was lap 19, the safety car came out, or lap 20, and then go mediums for the rest. I also didn't know what the other guys were doing because, as I said, Senkai, the strategy he sent me was one stop, but on my computer it sent me was two stop, so I wasn't too sure. So it kind of just snowballed. I kind of realized safety car, I messed up here. Got the safety car and I was like, okay, I'll do well here. And then, the whole safety car issue happened where it's telling me to let people pass. And then, I got caught in the safety car restart. And then it kind of just snowballed and just got worse and worse. But look, overall, I'm happy. I'm happy that I attempted it and that I kind of shown to myself, okay, if you be patient and work the right way, you can get a podium. Like, it is on the cards. So it'll come eventually. So I'm not going to get too frustrated over it.
Yeah, definitely. It appears to be on the cards for you 100%. Kyle, have you got anything for Regan before we let him go?
With a little bit of luck, I will make it on the podium. It's going to be the latest addition to the APC album. But before that, you think, if you had managed to pull that move off past Burt Welly, because it was marginal. I actually, when I watched you go around the outside, because unfortunately we did catch it on stream, it didn't look like you were heading for the wall. So it must, it was very marginal. If you'd got past him, were there more positions in it, or was just getting past Burt going to be the ceiling for your race at that point?
No, I don't think so. Well, first of all, I actually did watch the stream back, and you can see when I clipped the wall, my car doesn't come like a dead stop or anything. I must have literally just clipped it, which is very frustrating. I knew I would be able to get past Bert. As for my teammate, he had a 3-second time penalty, so if I couldn't get past him, I knew I was guaranteed that position, so that would have been top 5. And it's funny because every time I come in here, I say to you guys, the goal is top 5 every race, but I know I got that top 5. I wouldn't be happy. In a strange way, I know this sounds weird, I'm almost relieved at DNF, because if I crossed that line and was top 5, I'd be more annoyed that I didn't get a podium when it was on the cards. So yeah, I think I was, so Bert was P6 and my teammate was P5. So yeah, I think top 5 for sure. I don't think I had enough laps to catch 4th or the higher up guys. So yeah, it's bittersweet, I guess. Of course, it's not good to come out of any points, but I suppose on the other hand, teammates scored points. So look, I'll take what I can get. I'll learn to maybe be a bit more patient, and finishing somewhere is better than being in the wall. I let my emotions get the better of me sometimes. I think it goes without saying, when you're driving, the less you think about it, the better you drive. And then I just get annoyed and frustrated, and then I just brake later or turn later, and then it just costs me. So a few notes to take, I suppose. No time penalties though.
I was going to say, and up to that crash, yeah, there was nothing. So you've done well there. But yeah, and also I think the less said about your teammate in that race, probably the better. But thank you for joining us. As always, it's always a pleasure speaking to you, and we will speak to you celebrating that podium, or at least your top 5 at some point. So keep at it, and yeah, we'll speak to you very soon.
I hope so. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. And that was Regan Harding. And now we're going to head on to the next driver in the box. So we're going to have a word with Lucas Aracini, who very up and down race. Didn't look like he was going to be right in it at all. Ended up right in it. Talk to me about it.
Like, it was a horrible race. Like, it's kind of annoying. The one time I felt like I was really bad during the race, I ended up getting a podium. And like in all the races where I feel like I was a lot better, in like Silverstone, Hungary, maybe Austria as well, I just got really, really, well, not unlucky, but I just had really bad strategy and it messed me up. And then this time, I just got really lucky with the amount of safety cars that just let me close back up to everyone. I didn't get any penalties, I didn't get any damage, and like my low wings just let me overtake everyone basically on the restarts.
Yeah, it certainly looked as though you got great restarts, especially the final one. Just how did you manage to get up to the podium by the end?
I actually have no idea. Like, I was on 0-0 wings, and it's not like they were much slower than everyone, but on the final restart, I think I was dead last. Actually, no, I was ahead of one car. It was the Haas. I got past the Williams and the Sauber instantly, and then someone, I think it was Schenkovan, put it in the wall. Then the 2 people behind me put it in the wall, and there was a VSD. And then I was just getting people on the straight. I got a double overtake on Ethan and Owen after he defended me for a couple of laps. Then Ollie was miles up the road, and even with like better tyres, I was never ever going to get him.
Yeah, it was certainly a difficult one strategy wise to keep an eye out on. But of course, you did 15 laps on the hard compound tyre to start with, so you went very long. You and Regan were the only ones to stay out. What was the thinking behind that one?
I literally just thought there's going to be a load of safety cars. I'll just try to stay out as long as I can because I knew the mediums are going to be terrible. I was going to try go until 20, to be honest, but there weren't enough safety cars for me to be able to do that. So I just pit a bit earlier for the mediums.
Absolutely fair enough. Well, that's all from me. Carl, have you got anything before we let Luca go?
Yes, I mean, I ruled you out twice in that race, so I'll start by apologising because I just thought, first I thought you made the wrong strategy choice, and then I saw you at the back and I kind of felt validated in that opinion, but you absolutely proved me wrong. So well done on that podium. I guess the question for me is, what do you need to do to get that win?
I need Schenkovan to crash.
Well, that happened today, so what else do you need?
I need the Astons to like mess up on their strategies because every single race has just been a much better strategy, and I'm just losing so much time every stint to both of them.
Yeah, well, there's still 5 races left to go this season, so there's obviously chances for that to happen. We saw Owen Baldero make quite a big mistake today. We saw Andrew Chenkovan make multiple mistakes today. So all you need is Ollie to do the same, and then you've got it covered. I mean, I guess if you were on the same strategy, you would have been there, Ollie, and I guess fighting towards the end. So it just come down to a different strategy choice. But your time will come, I'm sure, if you keep at it. But thank you for joining us. And another great race from you. Well done on your podium.
Thank you.
That was, of course, Lucas Aracini. We're now going to move on to Owen Baldero, who was begging it so much last week for first that we decided we put him last today. Owen, of course, it was a very interesting race. Just talk me through it from your perspective, because it seemed to be very up and down.
Hello? Sorry.
Hello.
Things went wrong there. Sorry, I think things went wrong there. My race was, well, qualifying was good for me. P2, I wasn't really expecting it. It was a good lap, and considering how I felt in the 10 laps of practice I did, P2 was a really good result for me. And then the race, things were going really well, but every single safety car timing was just not very good for me. The first one especially, I just pitted like a lap and a bit prior before it came out, so it was just sucky timing, that first one. And then the second one, again, me and Ollie were on course for probably a very comfortable 1-2. And then that second safety car came out. And then it was kind of a case of, Ethan and Luca were on new mediums. I got a very poor restart, and then that second VSC came out, and I just thought, I'm gonna go full defensive. I'm just gonna let Ollie have this win. So I defended with everything I had for about 3 laps. Got myself damaged in the process by outbraking myself a little bit on the outside, but it worked. Ollie won very comfortably, and I mean, I lost 6 points, but we gained quite a few from him winning the race. So in the end, it was a sacrifice that was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed to be a big sacrifice, but he's very gracious. I can tell you that one for free. But yeah, it was just a very, very good race indeed from both of your perspectives, and it was just bad luck at the end of the race where you got damaged and it sort of curtailed the 1-2. But how important is that going to be in the championship?
Well, we outscore Ferrari quite nicely from this race. Obviously, Andrea Chenkovan had some dramas by the sound of it. I'm not 100% sure on what happened to him, but we outscore Ferrari quite nicely. So we've had 2 races now where we've outscored Ferrari. So I don't know what the gap in terms of the constructors looks like now, but it's probably a lot closer. And with a couple more races like this, it's well and truly back on.
I was doing the maths earlier, so I did have it in my head. But it's
not
not
37 points.
37 points. There you go. So very much still on. That's still like a 1-4. Is that still? I believe that is actually a 1-4.
Yes.
And then, of course, scoring no points. It's still very much on for you in the championship. That's all from me. Carl, have you got anything before we let Owen go?
Yeah, I mean, not only is it on in the team championship, but it's also on for Ollie Matthews in the drivers' championship. So sacrificing your race there and letting him run away from the win potentially might mean that he could fight towards the end of the season for that drivers' championship. So I guess the question for me would be that, you know, we saw you obviously defending and go wide into the wall and lose your front wing. You still did a fantastic job actually of defending after that. So I guess 2 questions actually. Now I've said that. One, how were you able to still defend so well with such a damaged front wing? But secondly, without that damaged front wing, could you have kept that second position, do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon I would have finished second. I think overall, Ollie said this to me during the race. He thought on pure race pace, when my tyres were in good condition, I was generally a little bit faster. But my tyres obviously went off a little bit quicker than his. But then in terms of how I was able to defend, the damage actually didn't feel that terrible. Like I wasn't fighting for my life with it, with the car. The first half a lap felt, oh, this is awful. But after that, it sort of came back to me and it was like, I can deal with this. So I just sort of changed a couple of braking points here and there. But other than that, I didn't really have to change all that much. And at that point, it was just like, well, I've got the damage. I may as well just keep these lot behind for as long as I can, become just a big old Aston Martin in the middle of the road to let Ollie get up the road. And in the end, it worked.
Perfect. Well, well done. Obviously, as a team, and I guess not a bad result from yourself when you consider the damage to your car. So, thanks for joining us as always, and we look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yeah, see you next week, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, of course, our final interview of the day. We had Owen Baldero join us, and well, it's a very good day for Aston Martin, isn't it? But Ferrari, there might still be some work to do. They might have rested on their laurels today, and well, we'll see how they go throughout the rest of the season. Of course, Azerbaijan, race number 9. Next week, we're going to have our second and final sprint race of the season in America. We will be heading to Texas for that one. Then Brazil, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi to round us off. But to round us off for today, Carl, your final thoughts about Azerbaijan?
I mean, it threw up the crazy race that we expected. I don't think I expected it to be quite that crazy. So, yeah, I absolutely enjoyed watching that. I genuinely had my hand over my mouth at times when I was just in absolute shock. So at some point, if we ever do Baku again, I think we need face cam because that I was in shock on that one. I think seeing Andrew Chenkovan make mistakes on his own is so uncharacteristic, but that's what we needed, it would seem, to spice this one up. Although having said that, he was actually battling even when he was at the front. So it looked like we could have had a new winner, even if he hadn't had those crashes. So yeah, the order has been switched up. It was so fun to watch. And I hope that next week with a sprint as well, we're going to get some fantastic racing from all of these drivers. And we might even get another brand new winner.
Yeah, and Ryuchenkovan looking very penetrable. A first win for Ollie Matthews. So he's been able to shake off the nerves for that one. But you'll have to join us for the next one to see how everyone does. Thank you very much to everybody who tuned in throughout the course of this race. And of course, those of you watching on the replay as well. Until next time, it is goodbye. Underway. Stamps' authority once again. My word, this could go wrong.
On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch!
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this